New Thought Media Network proudly presents the High Vibe Hour. The High Vibe Hour, 60 minutes of connections, insights, and conversations to raise your vibe. Join Rev Cynthia, Rev Julie, and Rev Skip each week for an exploration of living a high vibe life. Tune in live every Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time or anytime during the week on our YouTube channel. The High Vibe Hour, only on New Thought Media Network.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the High Vibe Hour. I am Reverend Skip Jennings, and I am an author, a speaker, a coach, and I'm grateful.
And I'm Reverend Cynthia, and I'm just delighted to be here.
I'm Reverend Julie Moret. I'm an inspirational speaker, and I love tools and practices, and I love this idea that we can come together and grow and heal and nurture each other and nurture ourselves. So super pumped to be here.
Yeah, it's another episode of a great show, a great iteration. This is our second round that the three of us are together dropping into this space. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Before we drop into the meat of things, we're just going to ask a little catch up. What are y'all doing? How y'all been? It's been 2 weeks since I've had the privilege of being in this space. What have y'all been up to?
Oh, I have a really fun one. I mean, It's fun for me. So there's this drink that happens in Coconut Grove, Florida. And when I am there, it is my favorite thing on the planet. It's called Matcha Love. It's like a milkshake, but it's matcha, so I believe it's healthy. And when I'm back in Los Angeles or wherever I'm traveling, like I dream about it sometimes. It's so good. And so I was on the East Coast, I was in Florida, I got my Matcha Love, and I was so happy.
What were you doing on the East Coast? Why were you in Florida? What were you doing?
I was visiting some folks, which will probably play into the next part of this. So I was actually being a support for some folks. But I got my matcha love in, and it was so
Yay! I love that. I love that. Awesome. Rev Cynthia, what you been up to, sis?
Well, I took the car in to get serviced during the week because I'm driving to LA this weekend for an 80s birthday party, a 60th birthday party.
Oh.
But as I was sitting at the dealership, like preparing notes for class, one of the managers came up to me and told me how much he would offer me for my car because it's been paid off for a couple of years. And then when I told him the kind of car that I was interested in, he says, we actually have a special right now. We're offering a $12,000 rebate. So between like your trade-in for your car and this rebate, we can likely get you a really good deal.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I took the car out for a test drive. And it wasn't like, at no point did they even ask, like, what do you think? Would you like to? It was just like, bring the paperwork. It's like, step.
They saw you coming, boo. They saw you coming.
But I got a really good deal on and here's another funny thing. I like white cars because I refer to them as like angel cars.
Yeah.
So initially they said, okay, you can have it in silver. And I'm like, okay, I've never had a silver car. I'll take it. And then they said, oh no, we don't have the silver. You can have it in like a tan. And I was like, it's not my favorite, but I can do the tan one. The tan looks nice. And then at the very end, they said, we actually only have it in white. How do you feel about white?
Oh my goodness, that is so awesome. Look, my friend told me, don't ever get into a car and test drive unless you're really serious about doing it. You got in that car, it said, hello, boo. Let me give you a hug.
So I have a new car, and it's been 8 years since I've had a new car. So,
well, wow, about time.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I love how we come together with these stories. And one of the stories for me for this week of really kind of just letting go of and having fun and having a beautiful time in life has been really on YouTube. Hey Liz, I've been on YouTube And I've been going through, I love Drag Race. So I've been dropping into the drag race. If y'all ever seen Drag Race, you know how funny it can be, how wonderful it can be. I've been into the vortex of all these old drag race like episodes from years and years and years and years ago. And I'm going, oh my God, I'm having the most incredible time. And it's just the creativity of these drag queens who get together and say, yeah, this is it. I'm going to come and I'm going to strut myself. It's just such a beautiful experience. And it was what I needed this week. I need to go back into the old vortex of drag race. So that's how I've been like, it's been a wonderful experience. It's been an absolutely wonderful experience.
Love
So,
it. Hey,
yeah.
Rev Cynthia, Melinda's calling you out on the chat. She just said, that's Rev Cynthia. That's how she rolls.
Absolutely. It,
While
it,
while we were working together, I think I bought 2 cars spontaneously during that time. And I was like, if Melinda could see me now.
That's so funny.
yeah, I take that blessing for myself, Rev Cynthia. That's what Hazel said.
Yes.
So you're teaching. And this is the funny thing. Let's talk about this. I believe that we could experience more life if we just really knew that we deserved it. See, I
Yeah.
just learned something from you just watching you do that. You knew you deserved that car. You were like, okay, it spoke to me, it's mine, and you stepped into it. A lot of times it's that fear kind of place in the head going, do I really deserve this? Or am I going to be okay? Or am I going to get in trouble? This purchase is
You
mine.
kind of did a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you want to talk about the little bit with Jesse?
So we had talked about a few months ago, like just consulting one another before committing to large purchases. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. In a marriage. Yeah.
Yeah.
and I said, well, I didn't buy a house. I'm like, it was a
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Oh
but
my God.
what was good, that I got to stand my ground
Yeah.
and not waver, but not in a mean or angry or defensive way. It was just, you've been telling me that I need to do more for me. This was one of those occasions that I did it before I talked myself out of it.
Right.
And I apologize for not
Yeah.
speaking to you about it. But this is really about me.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a phrase called not leaving yourself.
Ooh.
And I start to notice in moments when I leave myself, meaning I don't do what it is I really want to do or say what I really want to say because I'm mindful of other people or what they might think or something like that. And so you had a moment in the car dealership
Yeah.
where you didn't leave yourself. You were
Yeah.
like, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. And it would probably have been so easy to say, well, no, I need to la, 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 la. But instead you were like, yeah, like boss up. So kudos.
Or you could have done what I normally did when I in past relationships. I'm not in a relationship now. If someone's watching that want to be in a relationship for me, this was a past habit I used to do. I love clothes, and sometimes I would go shopping, and my then partner, I would take the clothes and hide them in the back of the closet, and then I would bring them out maybe 2 weeks later, and my then partner would say, "Is that new?" And I would go, "No, baby, it's been in the back of the closet." It's been in the back of the closet.
From you.
Because I hid it from you. I didn't give that part, but I love the freedom. You are, yes, you deserve that part.
And so I'm thinking about the folks that are listening right now. We're talking about things that we do, and it's simple, like it's in the dailiness of life. What are things that we do that bring some joy, that bring some fun, that bring some yes? And so I invite you to think about over the past week, what's one thing you did that was fun, that was pleasure, that was joyful, that was a way of not leaving yourself, but standing in yourself. And so certainly I invite you to share on the chat and, just to take into a moment. And if you're having a hard time coming up with something, this is the invitation that today, I was going to say this coming week, but like today, what can you do that brings in some joy? And it's in the simple dailiness of life. It's so easy to wait for like that big thing, but like today, what's something that can bring in some joy? Because that joy raises up your energetic frequency, and we magnetize at the level of our frequency. So you start to draw in people, places, circumstances, and events at that heightened joy frequency, right?
I can't tell you how proud I was. It like I had to force myself not to have a big old grin on my face as I stood my ground with my husband.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's powerful.
And it's also just you're when people say I need to find myself, you find yourself in those moments.
Yes.
That's a simple way of, oh yeah, this is speaking to me. The other thing too is I want to say this. I'm going to put this out into the field for anyone, and we're talking about this in our communities and in what we're talking about in North Hollywood. That if you are going through your spiritual economics, and spiritual economics says that we are here to be good stewardships of the money that's coming through.
Mhm.
If you are barely paying your rent and you go into a car dealership and you go, I want that car, there's something that needs to be contemplated there. When you say about being great stewards with what we have.
Yes.
Yes.
We were having this conversation the other day, Jesse and I.
Yep.
Because we're exposed to spiritual principles in these teachings, right? Like that all the divine qualities of spirit apply to us as well. And I feel that sometimes people want to jump in and prove that they believe and that they embody and that this is true about them. And sometimes they'll go into like big sums of debt, right?
Yeah.
Even in the pursuit of spiritual studies sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's that discernment, like we want to build up our spiritual tools and practices, but also being mindful of where we're at. So you're aware of your finances. You didn't stretch your means or your family's means, and you put into practice, abundance, the law of abundance. And I really want to do a big shout out to Rev Skip here, because I have been watching how you walk your talk when it comes to generosity and enoughness and abundance and prosperity. And I am so moved by how you work with the law of prosperity and you practice it in your generosity, in your tithing. And even before we jumped on, there's something that both you and Rev Cynthia are doing soon. And she was going to wait, and you were like, no, there's no waiting. There's enough for everybody.
Yeah.
And that consciousness, that mentality, it translates. And so I'm just knowing that where you are right now, Rev Skip, there is prosperity and abundance gushing in your way because you're walking the walk. And thank you, for role modeling that.
That's amazing. I love catching up with y'all. This is amazing. We're going to drop into the true talk, the meat of what we're talking about, and this came out of you, Reverend Julie. So you want to set us up for getting into the meat of what we're talking about today?
Yeah, so it has to do with some of my travels. I have 2 people in my life right now, and it seems like they might be physically passing at some point. I don't even know when, like it could happen any minute, or it could be years, like we don't know. And so I was thinking about how do we be when there is impending loss or impending change? And it can be, it looking like the loss of a loved one. It could also be like that kind of impending loss of physical or cognitive abilities, or the impending shifts or changes when it comes to work or career. And because what I was thinking is, it's not quite the grieving process.
Yeah.
But then, when it's time to pray for people, I want to honor the soul's journey, because, one of the things that our teacher, Michael Bernard Beckwith, has shared is that sometimes the transition of the physical body is the healing of the soul. It's part of what's the next right step. So I want to honor, the eternal nature of our lives. And so that's really what got me thinking about, well, how do we be when there's impending loss? And as I started to think about it, I thought, like, for me, I think it comes down to acceptance and trust and faith and building up these eternal qualities of the divine, like trust and faith. And it got me like a flashback of a few years back, I got a diagnosis, and it turned out that it was a false diagnosis, but there were several weeks where I thought I had this big, scary diagnosis. And I remember being outside, walking around my neighborhood, just sobbing like the crazy lady, just walking, sobbing, thinking like, this cannot happen. Like, I cannot die. I have a young child. He needs me. You know, if I die, my husband's just going to feed him like cheese and bread for the rest of his life. You know, like I was so bucking up against this diagnosis. And I had a few weeks where that, like, no, it can't be. At some point, something shifted inside of me, and I started to develop that trust that's like, wow, even if I die, my son's life is for him and never against him. My husband's life is for him and never against him. Like, and so that's what I wanted to speak to, is how do we build up trust and faith that no matter what, even if it's the passing of a physical body, that our lives are for us. So that's like what the kettle that I wanted to open up today. So whoever wants to jump in there, what do you think?
Well, you know what I was thinking as you were speaking, that when I stop and I scan the 54 years that I've been on this planet, and I'm aware of the numerous challenges, diagnoses, experiences that have unfolded, and yet here I am, happier than ever still, right? Even when I'm walking through current challenges, I've never been more happy, more at peace. So it kind of gives me some kind of fortification, that to know that none of that stuff has taken me out. I'm still here, and I'm still strong and still growing.
Yeah.
So I think we can use our lives, kind of like as a reminder,
a testimony. I look at my mom. My mom is 92 years old, and she's had a couple of health scares, and she she bounced back. My mother is the greatest bounce backer ever, and I really truly believe it's her faith. It's been her faith. She is the last of 13 siblings, actually 14 siblings. She is the last. But my mother always knew health and wellness as a way of life way early. My mother was the first person who actually started talking to me about vegetarianism, eating more vegetables, less meat. She was the first Shaklee vitamin distributor, in our town. She sold Shaklee for years and years and years and years. Shaklee, the old vitamin brand, and I think they're still there, it's still out. And my mother had this mentality of wellness first. God first, family, wellness is essential. And I believe it's really remembering and seeing and watching those who've had longevity in their living. Like I look at Michael Beckwith from the International Spiritual Center, your space, and I watch what he does. I watch what long life, strong, powerful. I watch him doing push-ups on his birthday. I believe this idea of not extending our life, but having a more effective life, and the life we live comes from our energy mentality. And I believe that can carry over even in the times where it seems like I thought my mom was going to check out. She didn't. She bounced back. She's walking again. She's speaking full sentences. I called her. Yes, I'm going. I say this is absolutely. And I believe the following part of this is, what we say in the old Baptist church, giving God the glory. Give God the glory. It's like gratitude. We are praising and in gratitude of this energy of my mother and her sustainability. And I believe, even if for me, and this is what I'm learning to do, if there is someone crossing over, and I don't believe that we're losing them, but they're crossing over into another experience, where's my mindset? Am I seeing the body, the shell of the body is in the bed, or am I seeing this beautiful, glorious experience of going into another dimension? So I believe lost my brother's a mortician. So we talk about this all the time. Jennings Funeral Home in New Jersey. That's my brother. Very, very, and we have a joke going, that we say in the family. People are just dying to give him business.
Oh my gosh.
But seriously, I mean, and we understand that this is just another transition, another time. We're walking to another door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the piece a lot about gratitude. And even during changes, even during shifts, to keep that gratitude practice going. That's such a good reminder. Yeah, to find the things that there is still to be grateful for, to find what there is to be grateful for. I really appreciate that part. And also, there's something about releasing attachment, and moving. So releasing attachment and moving into trust.
Mm-hmm.
And so then how do we do that? How do you trust, especially when you've been through hard things, especially when there's craziness happening out in the world? How do we still develop that inner infrastructure to trust? And I was curious to see if either of y'all want to jump in on that. How do we develop trust? How do we develop faith when we've been through things?
I just want to acknowledge Liz online. She just wrote this. I think this is a very pardoned. I'm going to throw it right over to you, Reverend Cynthia. Liz said this. I met a woman online who lost her child August 10th. I spoke with her at length because she was so fresh. It says so fresh and so confused. I am 8 years into my child's loss, and I think I was really able to help. Here's the big thing. We all experience loss or transition of jobs, of people, of relationships. This is and when we can create a community of people that are willing to talk about it and express what's going on in them and my loss, like we're doing here, I believe that's part of the healing process. Reverend Cynthia, what do you say?
Well, first, I want to thank Liz because I'm just glad that she was available, right, to be with someone that is walking through what she herself has had to walk through. So, Liz, thank you so much. And one of the things that I wanted to say was there was a time when 3 big things happened at the same time a few years ago. We were buying a house here in Vegas, and it fell out of escrow at the last minute. Jesse lost his job that same week, and the IRS garnished money out of my account. They audited me and decided to pull money out of the account.
Ooh.
And when Jesse lost his job, I lost my medical coverage, and there went my treatments. So everything hit at once. And I remember I was in my office, and I was meditating and crying at the same time and talking to God. And I heard a voice, and I take it was God, say, "You still don't trust me, do you? Like, despite everything you've been through, you still don't trust me. There's still this much room between you and I need you to close that gap." And then I heard, "Get on the floor. Put your face and your belly to the floor and let me hold you." And I remember I got down on the floor and I cried, and it did feel like I was being held. But that was an experience that allowed me to close the gap. So it looked bad, right? But it was how this trust got deepened for me. And that.
Yeah, I love the idea, and I'd invite everybody, including us, to think of how can I close the gap, like today, now? What can I do? What can I be? What's a practice that would help to close the gap so you feel more of your closeness with spirit, your closeness with God? One of the affirmations that I work with, especially as my son started growing up, with anytime I had worry, and to this day, about what he's up to, I have the affirmation that I say, I trust his life. I trust that his life is for him. And what's remarkable is that feels good inside of me. Like, it works. That affirmation really works. I say it so often. And so I would, as you're listening, I would invite you, see if that works for you, or if there's something you would do to tweak that helps you close that gap so you feel really connected to the extent like how I felt when I was out there walking, that like, oh, even if I die, everything's okay. Like that's so big to get into that consciousness, that place, that peace that passes human understanding. And I love to discuss like what are some of the practices or tools that help us feel that peace that passes human understanding.
And I was going to say, I think too, also that's, in a practical sense, I believe, and not in a linear sense, but I believe there is, I'm going to say, an expansive experience from getting to that place of faith. We're talking about faith. And as we've talked about this on the show, that it starts off with hope. There's a little inkling of hope, and that hope will turn into the practices, and the practices that we need that will actually turn into your faith, that will eventually turn into your knowing, and from knowing there's a conviction. Like I watch my brother, who's a mortician, who has a conviction on there is life after life, and and no matter who it is in the family that's going through the transition, my mother is maybe going through the transition, whatever. People coming through, he lives in that conviction. Oh, this is just another door. How can I help? Let me facilitate this for you. Let me help you through this next phase of this transition. But I believe that if you're looking to shift from the space of hopelessness, know that there is an inkling of hope that's within you that you can tap in to begin to look for practices.
Yeah.
And that faith will develop. I believe that it requires those practices. Absolutely, for sure.
There's also a teaching about cycles, that we as human beings evolve through cycles. And that was new to me. And the way that I saw it, these cycles are similar to the seasons in nature, and we are not separate from nature. So it makes sense, right? If nature has its seasons, doesn't it make sense that we too have seasons that we move through? So for example, in nature, we have spring. So for us as human beings, that cycle is called the creation phase, where we're in our creative flow and we're starting new things. And then comes summer. That's when we've created something, and then we're kind of like in the sustaining phase. We're being sustained by what we have created. And then inevitably, here comes fall, where things start to come undone because there needs to be room for something new to come. And then here comes winter, where it appears as though there is no life. And it's just the big void, and it looks like there is no life. But in reality, it's in the void that infinite possibilities reside. So we're being invited to kind of like sit back in a cosmic womb while spirit is preparing us for the new birth that is around the corner, right? So we move through these evolutionary cycles, but we think everything is just supposed to be like good all the time.
Yeah. I love what you're talking. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
I'm just going to piggyback behind what you're saying. You're talking about the seasons. And there's also a representation in the directions. In the east, the rising of the sun. In the south, it's the heat of the summer. In the west, it's the water where everything is coming to this beautiful sunset. And in the north, there's this time of the winter, where we are going into the hibernation to get into this kind of place of introspection. We go into the cave of transformation where we're deep in it. And it's like, oh yeah, only thing I want to do is like grab my comforter, sit here and have an introspective moment. But then the spring happens again. And we go to the east, we go to the south, we go to the west, we go to the north. I love learning, and I learned that from Joanne Coleman.
Oh.
In our class, we learned about creating ceremonies and why we evoke and I'm going to do this on our retreat on tomorrow. We're going to evoke the directions, the seasons, bring in Mother Earth. We're going to create this. The first thing we do before we move into our practices, we're evoking the seasons and the directions. So we know that we're anchored, and in the center of all this, in the four centers, is you. You are in the center that's experiencing all of these seasons, all these directions. So yeah, and Reverend Julie, you're going to say.
Yeah, well, you mentioned you're doing this in the workshop that you're doing tomorrow. Where
It's
is
a
that
full
at?
day. It's in North Hollywood Church of Religious Science. It's in the program notes, y'all. You can still sign
great.
up. It's 10 to 4 tomorrow at North Hollywood Church of Religious Science, a Oneness Center for Spiritual Living. It's in the program notes. So it's 10 to 4. And through this experience, it's called Soul Harmony Retreat. I've done this maybe about 6 times, but this is the first time I've done it here in LA and in the LA area. And it's just reconnecting our soul, our minds, and our bodies with the perfection of the soul. So we're doing Qigong, meditation, visioning. We're doing yoga, breath work. We have a walking meditation in our garden, but we have to do it first because it's very hot in North Hollywood. So we don't want people walking at 12 high in the sun. No. So that's the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a walking meditation of introspection and contemplation. So yeah, thank you for allowing me to drop that in there.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. You know, as Rev Cynthia was speaking, I got an idea of something that we could all do together, but are we going to do a commercial first?
Yeah, we are. We're going to do a break.
Okay.
This is our time that we go into our break. You know, y'all, we are part of a beautiful network, and this beautiful network we are supporting. So here are ways that you can find out more of what we're doing in the network. So we will be right back. Let's hit it.
What would Louise say? Join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Hosted by Reverend Martine Bernard. Explore the wisdom of Louise Hay. Brought to you by New Thought Media Network. Dive into Louise's teachings. Experience healing and empowerment. Reverend Martine shares insights. Connect with a contemporary audience. Unlock your potential. Transform your life with love. Embrace positivity and healing. Join our vibrant community. Ready to join us? Let's spread love and wisdom together. Please like, share, and subscribe. Only on New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents the High Vibe Hour. The High Vibe Hour, 60 minutes of connections, insights, and conversations to raise your vibe. Join Rev Cynthia, Rev Julie, and Rev Skip each week for an exploration of living a high vibe life. Tune in live every Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time or anytime during the week on our YouTube channel. The High Vibe Hour, only on New Thought Media Network.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the High Vibe Hour here at the New Thought Media Network. And we are talking about some real incredible, juicy conversations about transition, about loss, about change. And I think we have some processes. Who's going to go first today?
Well, I would love to riff off of the whole moving through the different seasons that Rev Cynthia mentioned in the last segment. And I thought it's something we could do together as a way of, because what you said was so perfect. It's like, I think there's this thought that things are always supposed to be good. You know, we're just supposed to always be happy all the time. And especially as a parent, I know I raised my kid with that mentality, like, oh no, you know, I want him happy all the time. And there's really such a benefit to all the different seasons of our lives, and that thing that cultivates us and rubs against us and makes us stronger. And so I thought it could be useful to take a moment and maybe starting from this past spring, notice what was birthed in your life this past spring. And just to kind of go through this and notice, like this past spring was the frequency factor class that I presented through Agape University. And that was such a big, fun, new experience. It's something that really birthed in me. And so I'm inviting everybody listening to kind of roll back a little bit. What was birthed this past spring? What was emerging? What was coming forward? And then we had the summer, you know, what has really been cultivating and growing and blossoming and blooming. And we have fall coming up. So there are two parts to fall. Fall is, what is some of the harvest that you want to receive and enjoy, you know, from your labors, from your efforts? And I was thinking we could take a beat with that. What are some of the things, you know, for myself, that frequency factor class, some of the harvest of that is ways that I'll be sharing that course material again. So that's some of the benefit that came from that. That's some harvest that I'm reaping. And I'm thinking we could take a moment and think, like, what do we want to choose? What do we want to decide? Because we all know the things we can complain about or say aren't working well, but you know, this is the high vibe hour. So what's a way that we can direct our consciousness right now about towards what we're deciding, claiming to harvest this fall? And then also, you know, the leaves drop in fall. So what do you want to drop? What do you want to let go of? What are some of the stresses or challenges? And maybe we could move into some breath work in a moment if there's something to release or let go of. And then one last piece I thought is, or maybe two more, is winter. You know, what do we want to be like holding in the womb? What do we want to be cultivating? That dark innermost aspect of ourselves, what do we want to be really turning within when winter comes this year? What do we want to be brewing? And then one more thing, as spring emerges again this coming year, what do you want to decide already that you are birthing, that you're going to welcome in? So if either of you want to riff on that, I thought it'd be fun to like play with the seasons and how we kind of roll from season to season, and we have dominion, we have say, and it begins with our consciousness. Rev Skip said, hope, you know, can we start with some hope about what it is that we want? So if either of y'all want to jump in from there.
I'm thinking back to spring, and I think I was in the second half of teaching practitioner studies for the first time. And so there was a stepping into this role, right, of instructor, of teacher, in a way that I had not previously. And at the same time, there was also this birthing of me having fun as I'm stepping into roles, as opposed to like the nervousness, right, or the thoughts of, can I do this? So there was, and I think Skip had said this earlier, that we find parts of ourselves when we step into some of the experiences.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what parts did you find? What did you find as you stepped into that leadership?
I feel like I stepped into like a leadership role where I accepted it and embraced it. This is who I am. This is what I came to do.
And were effective, I'm sure.
Yes, yes.
You got to feel your competency, your expertise. Yes.
I did. And the creative ways in which I can communicate these teachings.
Yeah. And how was that trip to your first time to Bali? That's new.
That was new. Also, right, sitting with I had been wanting to lead a retreat for 20 plus years. The opportunity showed up. I said yes. And there was like a preparation that was happening in the spring. And then we went in the summer. And it felt grace filled. It felt like it fit like a glove, like it was meant for me the whole time, kind of thing.
Love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And what's a harvest from that? And what's something, a leaf you want to let fall away from that?
So a harvest is, I'm thankful for who I've been in the past. But I'm even more grateful for who I have become so far, that I've given myself permission to let go of previous identities, ways that I saw myself. So the harvest has been this permission of stepping into the unknown and discovering further who I am, and how much joy there is in that.
What are some old, dry, crackly leaves you're ready to release as fall approaches?
Right? Like, who am I to be leading people, right? Whether it's in class or on a retreat. And it's like, you are a child, of the divine who came here originally with that intent. And there was some preparation work you had to go through.
Beautiful. How about you, Rev Skip?
So you put me on the spot, and I'm here trying to think while Reverend Cynthia's. I'm going. There's so much that's being birthed. I guess I'm gonna stay with the retreat stuff. This retreat, we've been in planning for this retreat, and this has been an ongoing part of how I express the divine. So let's look at this retreat tomorrow. This has been the planning from birth, and sitting into it is now just letting God have its way. You can do all the planning you want. I think what I'm releasing from this retreat, because we do talk about this, is having the control. Because I want the retreat to be absolutely full, and it is full. We do have people in, but I want more. Releasing that, wanting more, knowing that it is absolutely the right people that are going to be there at the right time. And part of that is the practice of not judging everything in our class sizes, because you know what? Sometimes we do that in our ministry, who showed up on Sunday. And instead of who didn't show up, we focus on who's here, who's right here, right now. And we can do that with everything that we go through. It could be a dinner with friends, or the place. Are you really appreciating the people you're with right now? Mm-hmm. That's the big thing. Are you appreciating this experience? So yeah, it's kind of me. And what about you? What are you doing?
Well, I want to include everybody that's listening. So far, like I mentioned in spring, I was birthing that big frequency factor class at the Agape International Spiritual Center. Was really like a triumphant feeling in a whole bunch of ways. And so I want to invite everybody listening to cause yourself to think of something you're grateful for, because it's so easy to think of all the things we're not grateful for, right? And so to start there, like, what is something you're grateful for? It could literally have happened during spring, or it could be just something you're bringing into a springtime moment in your consciousness right now, something that you are birthing in your life. And then the summer, like, what are you growing? What are you cultivating? What's blossoming in your life right now? This high vibe hour is something that we are blossoming together and creating this community filled with, opportunities to raise our energetic frequency, to heal and grow. And then the fall aspect, what is something that you want to harvest? And it begins by deciding. So I am, what are you harvesting? And then what are the dry, crackly leaves that you are going to let drop away? And so I'm saying this to invite people to kind of roll through it with me. I was thinking of some things, but they're kind of private. So I am doing this too, um, of things I just want to let go of, things that just aren't working any longer. And I like also the idea, as when winter approaches, I really want to claim already that will be a time of deeply immersing myself in my Qigong practice. So I'm cultivating my energy. I'm really cultivating energy and, grateful for that. So those are some of the things. Like, I really like this idea of, it doesn't always have to be up and good and happy, that we are seasonal beings, and that it's useful, it's beneficial to have all these different seasons, and to be conscious about it. Yeah.
Right. Not to freak out when the winds of change show up, right? That is part of how life expresses, and we are a part of the one life.
Yeah. And Reverend Cynthia, you had a practice that you were going to share with us that you told us before we went online. Do you have that practice? You have that teaching for us?
I do it. It's like super sophisticated. No. Here it is. So usually what happens, when things start to change, we tend to go into fight or flight, right? And when it's almost like we clench our fist and try to keep everything in place, keep it exactly how it has been. So the invitation is to realize this is a natural part of life. Change is natural. It's actually here and in our favor. Can we relax the body? Can we open our clenched fist? Right? Can that become the practice? When it's time to show up and step in, can we show up 110%? And when we see the winds of change showing up, can we, in a very relaxed manner, say, okay, I'm letting go?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Something that comes to mind is that we have heard this term, and we know that, I'm going to explain this to everyone. There's something called the law of emergence. That means there is something seeking to emerge from every situation, everything, something that's seeking to emerge. Something that's seeking to be known, something we're here to learn in every situation. Here's the other thing too, is we've heard from Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes, saying that the good is emerging from, or something seeking to emerge from my highest good, my highest good, my highest good. How do we get there when you're in the middle of the shift? I almost said something else. You're in the middle of the shift. How are we getting to that, knowing that something's good's coming out of this when you are not feeling it, and when you're in the place of confusion in your head, you don't know where to turn? What do you do when you're trying to get to that place of that feeling tone, or even the knowing tone? Because the knowing's not always the feeling, and sometimes the feeling's not the knowing. How do we get there when you just lost your mama, you just lost your dog, or you feel like you have just lost your job that was supposed to bring you this money? How do we get our people to get there? I think that's a question that we need to help our listeners and viewers know. Reverend Cynthia or Reverend Julie, whoever wants to jump in on this.
One of the things that I speak to a lot in my book, What's Your What? How to Ignite Your Unique Brand, is about how to rig our environment so it pays us silent inspirational dividends. And I came to that because whether it's dealing with depression or things not going right, I love the idea we have a physical, a psychological, an emotional, a spiritual response to everything around us 24/7. So we can rig our environments in a way that ignite us, that inspire us. And so that's one thing that you can do. And then it's locked and loaded, having quotes around. I'm traveling right now, but in my environment, I normally have, quotes that I had an opportunity to share a stage with Marianne Williamson one day, and she said this great thing about me afterwards, and I wrote it down, and I have it right by my office computer. And so every time I see it even if I'm feeling like crap about myself in that moment, or something's really not going well, I remember like, oh, I was seen by somebody who matters. I have things that Michael Beckwith has said. And so to have these things where it can be colors, lavender is a color that really works for me. And so for like spiritual richness and depth and juiciness. And so all those things are, so I'm inviting everybody to think of what are those things that you can place around your environment that supercharge you. I have, a picture of me on Mount Everest, and that's like, no matter what else is going on, I always will have that. I did that, And so that's one thing, is to just have the environment set up in a way that we remember who we really are when those moments are happening where it's easy to forget.
I like that. I like that a lot. Here's one of the things that I've been working with. It's almost like a shift in perspective. So where before I would see things as problems, now I'm training myself to view them through the lens of opportunity for some type of unfoldment and evolution and growth, and sometimes even healing, right? So the problem is no longer to be viewed as the problem, but the solution that is showing up and trying to reveal itself.
Oh, that's so deep. That's so deep. There's an opportunity here. Maybe you can kind of guide folks to that with whatever they're going through. How would you word that for them?
So for example, in the past, there was so much blocked energy in my throat, right? Because as a kid, if I spoke during in a time that was not appropriate, I remember getting smacked, right? So that pattern, that way of being got ingrained from a very young age. It was difficult for me to speak. So a few days ago, when I bought the car and I was being questioned, being able to stand, like root myself and allow my throat to open to explain, but not from anger or defensiveness, but just in honor of this, was like, so usually I would contract, and it was like, you open yourself up and you open this and you open your heart and you speak.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Not to leave yourself, to stay in yourself.
Right. So it could have looked like a problem, but no, it was an opportunity for me to experience myself in a way that I had not before.
Yeah.
He didn't know that.
She's talking about her husband, Jesse.
Yeah.
You bought a car without me. But it's so good to talk this through, because it wasn't just buying a car. It was an opportunity for you to stand in who you have become, without leaving yourself, without apologizing for your existence, but like accepting your voice. I have a voice. I'm using it.
So that's what I mean about life. It looks like life is just lifing, but it's always growing us in some way. So instead of us contracting, what if we open up, become curious about what might really be going on here?
Oh, that's so good. So that's an invitation as you're listening right now. Even if it's really hard, is there like a millimeter way that you can expand, a millimeter, the tiniest bit that you can just open and see, is there something here for me? Is there some like the littlest bit?
And if you can't, one of the things, and say, I know you're willing. If you're willing, and if you're trying to get to willingness, this is the time that I believe, and this has happened to me many times, where I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling the will. I wasn't willing to open up. And I would humble myself and say to my higher self, the love within me, show me what I'm not seeing here. Show me something new. Show me what I'm missing here. And that could be from a little irritant like traffic, or it could be a relationship, or it could be the loss of a job. There's been many times where I've I've lost a class recently from Equinox because it was low attendance for the summer, 2 classes in a row from the same space. And first of all, ego hits going, what's going on? Do y'all not know who I am? Type thing. But then there was this moment of humility. So God, show me, or universe or higher self, show me. Instantaneous, there's another place for you. Instantaneous, there's another gem that wants me to come in that time spot.
Wow.
See, this is the part of we get all in our head and our thinking of, of what we think we know, and we can't see what we think we know. That is the time where we get to humble ourselves and say, Spirit, teach me. What am I not seeing here? What do I not know here? Show me. And I believe that's a deeper awakening. For me, it was a deeper awakening to go, I couldn't see my way out of this, but Spirit did.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit did.
I love that.
We are believe it or not, we are there, y'all. We are there. We're at the close. We're at that place where we talk about our highlights and our insights. What was who wants to go first on their vibe insight for today? What are you taking away from this experience? Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
My insight is that as I step more and more into doing things that are in alignment with my purpose,
yeah,
they get to be incredibly fun like this.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
I get to enjoy it all.
I love it. Reverend Julie, what is your vibe insight today?
So I really like that idea of closing the gap. I mean, we're always at one with God, but the theoretical closing of the gap and what are the things that work for me? Because sometimes when I'm so stuck in stuff, sitting to meditate actually just becomes sitting to stew about the things that are bothering me. But one of the things that actually works is if I put on, like Tom Kenyon has these chants, these Mary Magdalene chants, or some kind of chant that keeps my mind busy. And then it's like I get a resonance, a frequency resonance with God. So that's that's what I'm going to take, is to really dive even more deeply into my practice.
How
about you?
So for me, my vibe insight is Reverend Cynthia got a new car. In such a way of how I love how you really celebrated who and what you are. You celebrate that deep yes within you. That yes, and there's an acronym I use for yes, is you expressing spirit. Wow. And we are in our yes, is us expressing our spirit, the spirit of God within us. There's this freedom. There's this play. This is like, oh yeah, I'm hearing a full body yes here. Let me step into the full body yes. So that is my vibe insight for today. Hey, y'all, so many things are coming up. So we're going to get through our announcements very quickly. Not quickly, but Reverend Cynthia, what do you got going on? And where are you? And where can people find you? What's the story? Morning Glory.
I am at Las Vegas Center for Spiritual Living, and we have a conference, which is a collaboration of Agape folks, Unity, CSL, all coming into town the weekend of September 12th through the 14th. So everyone is invited, and if Gary Lynn Floyd is going to be doing a concert on Friday. So you could come just for the concert if you're not available for Saturday, or you could do Friday and Saturday and then stay for the talk on Sunday.
Ooh, and who are some of the teachers that are going to be there? You have some powerhouse teachers that are going to be there.
So we have Dr. Sydney from your center.
Yeah, right? my spiritual leader, yes.
and I'm getting to know a lot of people from CSL and Unity. I don't know them all, but Reverend Carlton and Reverend Jason are going to be coming out. We have two practitioners coming out, Deb Varn, who's a musician, and Christina Littman from Hawaii. They're from Agape. And I'm looking forward to meeting other folks, right? As well. And
also, we have to give a big shout out to Reb Riz. Robert Brzezinski will be there, our spiritual director and network programmer here at New Thought Media Network. He's going to be there speaking. Yes. I'm so freaking excited about that. Reverend Julie, what you got on? What you got going on?
I would love for folks to connect with me on Instagram at Rev Julie Moret. I'll be gearing up for another frequency factor class, how our energetic frequency impacts our experiences and what we can do to cultivate that. So you can get the information as it becomes available on Instagram. And that's probably the best way right now. I'm going to be doing more and more experiential practices. I am very much a tools and practices person. So I like doing these. I like doing them online, and I'd love to see you there.
Absolutely. Also, you at Agape International Spiritual Center, you want to give a shout out to them?
Yes, absolutely. I will be speaking at the Agape International Spiritual Center, founded and directed by Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. I know that's coming up soon.
Yes.
We usually get the call like, can you speak this Sunday? So
right.
I'll post on social when the day actually is.
Absolutely. Awesome. Oh, guys, please join me at North Hollywood Church of Religious Science on a Wednesday night. We do something called the Wednesday Wake Up with Rev Skip. This is at 7:00 evening, and that is my service I do every Wednesday, along with Jamie Lula, who is Gary Floyd's writing partner, Floyd Lula. Check them out. He's our music director on a Wednesday night, and he's just absolutely amazing. Prayer, meditation, we dance, we sing. And this Wednesday night, we're doing a sound bath. So if you're in the LA area, please join us for the sound bath. And also tomorrow, we're doing a full day retreat, not too late to sign up. If you go to NHCRS, you can get more information about the Soul Harmony Retreat. And that's going to be this Saturday all day. Tomorrow, we're going to do Qigong, meditation, visioning. It's going to be a wonderful Soul Harmony Retreat. And also, you can find out more information about the Bali trip I was kind of hinting at. I have a Bali trip that's coming up March 14th to the 27th. We are celebrating the Nipi Day of Silence, which is the Balinesian New Year. It's off the chain, y'all. We do have room, so sign up as soon as you can, because we're going to do mass marketing very soon. I would love my spiritual family from this network to join us. So reach out to me directly. You can DM me directly about getting more information. And also, if you want anything about coaching, about spiritual counseling and empowerment training, our notes in the program notes, you have ways you can connect with Reverend Julie, Reverend Cynthia. You can let us be your coach, your counselor, your practitioner, whatever you want to call it. We are here for you. Also, this is a ministry, so y'all, if you want to donate, please donate to the New Thought Media Network, ntmedia.org/donate. Keep us sustainable, keep us alive and moving and grooving and all that other great stuff. We did it, y'all. Another show that's in the bag. Hey, y'all, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate this, and I always say it's practitioner session on steroids with you too. It's amazing. So peace and blessings. Remember, transformation is a choice. You chose today because you tuned in. Peace, y'all.
What would Louise say? Join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Hosted by Reverend Martine Bernard. Explore the wisdom of Louise Hay. Brought to you by New Thought Media Network. Dive into Louise's teachings. Experience healing and empowerment. Reverend Martine shares insights. Connect with a contemporary audience. Unlock your potential. Transform your life with love. Embrace positivity and healing. Join our vibrant community. Ready to join us? Let's spread love and wisdom together. Please like, share, and subscribe. Only on New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Are you passionate about media, storytelling, and making a difference? Welcome to New Thought Media Network, where your voice matters. We amplify diverse voices and share impactful stories. Join us in our mission. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to creativity and community, looking for enthusiastic volunteers who want to be part of something bigger. Learn, grow, and collaborate in various aspects of media production. Incredible support and camaraderie await you here. Your contributions will help us create powerful content that resonates with audiences and drives social change.
Ready to make a difference? Visit our website www.ntmedia.org to learn more about volunteer opportunities and how you can get involved.
Find our volunteer inquiry under the